December 28, 2014, from CenturyLink Field in Seattle, Washington. It was the St. Louis Rams at the Seattle Seahawks in this NFC West Division rivalry matchup. The Seahawks won the toss. They elected to defer. And so the Rams would get the ball first. They would have it on their own 20 after the opening kickoff. They would go 3 and out on their first possession and punt from their own 29. And now the Seahawks would get the ball for the first time in this game on their own 22. But on 3rd and 10 from the 22, Russell Wilson was sacked by Barron. And so out would come the punting unit as the Seahawks went 3 and out. So they would punt from the 20, and now the Rams would get the ball after the punt on their own 50-yard line with about 12 minutes still left in the first. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 48, Shaun Hill hit Britt for a 10-yard reception, a first down at the Seattle 38. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 36, Hill went to Tre Mason. He picked up 8 yards in the first down at the Seattle 28 for St. Louis. Then on 3rd and 4 from the 22, Shaun Hill hit Cook for a 5-yard reception, a first down in the red zone at the 17. But they weren't able to get another first down, and out would come Zuerlein to attempt a 33-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Rams put the first points on the scoreboard with the score St. Louis 3, Seattle 0. So now the Seahawks will get the ball on their own 30 after the kickoff with about a little over 6 minutes still left in the first. Then on 2nd and 5 from the 35, Turbin ran 14 yards for the first down that brought the ball to the Seattle 49. Then on 3rd and 1 from the St. Louis 42, Tukufu ran it 2 yards for the first down to the 40. They wouldn't get another first down, though, as they would end up with a 4th and 5, and they went for it. And Russell Wilson hit Luke Wilson for a 4-yard pass, but he was a yard shy of the first down, so the Seahawks turned the ball over on downs. So now the Rams would get the ball on their own 31 with about a minute and a half still left in the first quarter. But they went 3 and out, and they would punt from their own 35 on the final play of the first quarter. So after 1 quarter of play, the score was St. Louis 3, Seattle 0. So now to begin the second quarter, the Seahawks would have the ball on their own 23 after the punt. And on first down, Turbin ran 12 yards for the first down to the 35. Then on 3rd and 9 from the 36, Russell Wilson went to beast mode Marshawn Lynch. He picked up 10 yards in the first down at the 46. Then on 3rd and 1 from the St. Louis 45, Turbin picked up a yard in the first down at the 44. Then on 3rd and 8 from the 42, Russell Wilson out of the shotgun dropped back to pass, and he was intercepted by Richardson. And so now St. Louis would take over on their own 40 with about 9.5 minutes left before halftime. But after 4 plays, they would end up punting from their own 44. They actually picked up a first down, but then after the first down, Shaun Hill was sacked by Averill and Jordan Hill. And so a couple plays later, out came the punting unit. So now Seattle would take over on their own 13 with less than 7 minutes left before halftime. And on 2nd and 2 from the 21, Russell Wilson dropped back. He hit Marshawn Lynch. He picked up 12 yards, but then he got tackled by Ogletree and Dunbar. Ogletree forced the fumble, and McDonald recovered. And so now the St. Louis Rams had the ball on the Seattle 34. They weren't able to get a first down, though, and out would come Zuerlein to attempt a 52-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Rams extended their lead now to 6-0 over the Seahawks. So now Seattle would take over on their own 18 after the kickoff with about 4 minutes left before halftime. But after 5 plays, they would end up punting from their own 46. So now the Rams would take over on their own 16 with about a minute left before halftime. They went 3 and out, and they would end up punting from the 20. So now the Seahawks would get the ball back with less than a minute left in the second quarter. And on 3rd and 4 from the Seattle 35, Russell Wilson went to Luke Wilson. He picked up 28 yards and was now first down on the St. Louis 37. But then Russell Wilson was sacked by Aaron Donald, and they actually went back to look at it, and it was ruled that it was a fumble, but it was recovered by Seattle. And so now they had to spike the ball, and St. Louis took a timeout, and they had one last play left. They aired it out, and they picked up 38 yards with a pass from Russell Wilson to Doug Baldwin, but that would bring the first half to a close. So after 2 quarters of play, the score was St. Louis 6, Seattle 0. So now to open up the second half, the Seahawks had the ball on their own 20 after the kickoff. They're then faced with a 3rd and 2 from the 28. Russell Wilson went to Marshawn Lynch. He picked up 14 yards in the first down at the 42. Russell Wilson then went to Richardson. He picked up 32 yards in the first down at the 26. They weren't able to get another first down, though, and out would come Stephen Hauschka to attempt a 42-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and it put the first points on the scoreboard for the Seahawks, with the score now St. Louis 6, Seattle 3. So now St. Louis, we get the ball after the kickoff on their own 20, and on first down, Shaun Hill was sacked by Williams for an 8-yard loss, and they would end up going with 3 and out on the possession and punting from their own 14. So now the Seahawks, we get the ball after the punt with about 9 minutes left in the third. They're then faced with a 3rd and 2 from the 39. Russell Wilson then went to Richardson. He picked up 13 yards in the first down in St. Louis territory at the 48. Russell Wilson then went to Moeki, and he picked up 21 yards in the first down at the 27. But then on 3rd and 4 from the 21, out of the shotgun, Russell Wilson was sacked by Joyner. And so out would come Hauschka to attempt a 45-yard field goal. It was up, it was good. And this game was now tied up at 6 apiece between the Rams and the Seahawks. So now St. Louis, we get the ball after the kickoff with still 4.5 minutes left in the third. They had it on their own 17. Tre Mason picked up 13 yards in the first down at the 30. Then on 2nd and 3 from the 37, Mason picked up 8 yards in the first down at the 45. Shaun Hill went to Britt and picked up a 12-yard reception on a first down in Seattle territory at the 43. Then on 3rd and 4 from the 37, Shaun Hill went to the tight end Jared Cook. He picked up 12 yards on the first down at the Seattle 25. Then on 2nd and 9 from the 24, Hill went to Tavon Austin. He picked up 2 yards, but an offensive holding penalty would bring him back to the Seattle 34, and it would bring the third quarter to a close. So after 3 quarters of play, this game was tied up at 6 apiece between St. Louis and Seattle. So now to open up the fourth quarter, the Rams had the ball on the Seattle 34. It was 2nd and 19. Shaun Hill dropped back out of the shotgun. He was intercepted by Jordan Hill. The defensive lineman gets the interception. They actually challenged the play, but it was ruled, yes, it was an interception. And so now the Seahawks would have the ball on their own 46 after the turnover with less than 10 seconds ticked off the clock in the fourth quarter. Then on 2nd and 6 from the 50, Russell Wilson with the Doug Baldwin. He picked up 7 yards in the first down at the St. Louis 43. They're then faced with a 3rd and 7 from the St. Louis 40. Russell Wilson out of the shotgun hit Norwood for a 31-yard reception that would make it 1st and goal on the St. Louis 9. So on 1st and goal from the 9, they gave it to Marshawn Lynch out of the shotgun, and he ran it in for the 9-yard touchdown. And the Seahawks took the lead for the first time in this game with the score now Seattle 13, St. Louis 6. So now the Rams would have the ball on their own 15 with about 12 minutes left in the fourth, trailing by a touchdown. They'd be faced with a 2nd and 10 from their own 15. Shaun Hill then hit Kendricks for a 17-yard reception, a first down at the 32. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 34, Shaun Hill went to Tre Mason. He picked up 9 yards in the first down at the 43. Shaun Hill then dropped back to pass, and he was intercepted by Bruce Irvin. Bobby Wagner got a hand on it, and Bruce Irvin ran it back 49 yards for the pick six and the touchdown, as it was now a 14-point lead for the Seahawks with the score Seattle 20, St. Louis 6. So now the Rams would get the ball on their own 25 after the kickoff with less than 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And they would bring the ball to midfield and all the way into Seattle territory, all the way down to the 1-yard line. But then they ended up fumbling the ball. Shaun Hill passed it to Cunningham, but he fumbled the ball. Earl Thomas forced the fumble, and it was fumbled out of bounds into the end zone for the touchback. So now the Seahawks would take over on their own 20 after the turnover with a little less than 6 minutes left in this game, up by 2 scores. They would go 3 and out on the possession, and they ended up punting from their own 23. So now the Rams would have the ball with about 4.5 minutes left in the fourth. They had it on their own 39 after the punt, trailing by 14 points. Then on 3rd and 4 from the 45, Shaun Hill hit Stedman Bailey for a 17-yard reception, a first down at the 38. They then got into, which was in Seattle territory, but then they started getting some penalties and a sack as Schofield dropped Hill for a 12-yard loss on 1st and 20 from the 48. They weren't able to recover from that. As on 3rd and 25, Hill was sacked by Bruce Irvin. He forced the fumble, but St. Louis recovered. And so now it was 4th and 35 from the St. Louis 37, when they had been in Seattle territory moments ago. But now on 4th and 35, they elected to go for it, down by 2 scores with just over 2 minutes left here in the fourth. And Shaun Hill dropped back to pass. He hit Cunningham, but he picked up 11 as he was well shy of the first down, 24 yards shy of the first down, as the Rams turned the ball over on downs. And so now the Seahawks would take over at midfield on the St. Louis 47. Marshawn Lynch picked up 4 yards on a run, and St. Louis took a timeout. Turbin then ran for 10 yards on a first down as this game went to the 2-minute warning. And with that first down, coming out of the 2-minute warning, all that was really left to do was for the Seahawks to take 3 knees in the victory formation as this game came to a close with the final score, Seattle 20, St. Louis 6. So the Seahawks win, and they're now 12-4 on the season. They're the #1 seed in the NFC. They have a 7-1 record at home. They've only lost 1 game at home all season. They've only lost 2 games in Seattle in the last 2 years. And the St. Louis Rams are now 6-10. They're 3-5 on the road on the season. And in this game, Russell Wilson was 17 for 25 with 239 passing yards and an interception. He also had 7 yards off of 6 carries. Shaun Hill was 26 for 37 with 243 passing yards and 2 interceptions. The game's leading rusher was Marshawn Lynch. He had 15 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown. He also had 36 yards receiving off of 3 receptions. And Turbin had 10 carries for 49 yards. And he also had 1 reception for 13 yards for Robert Turbin. And the leading receiver in the game was also for Seattle. That was Paul Richardson. He had 5 receptions for 60 yards. Doug Baldwin had 3 receptions for 43 yards. And the leading rusher for St. Louis was Tre Mason with 11 carries for 28 yards. He also had 29 yards receiving off of 3 receptions. And the leading receiver for the Rams was Cunningham. He had 7 receptions for 57 yards. And Britt had 4 receptions for 38 yards. And Cook had 3 receptions for 37 yards. And the leading tackler in this game was Earl Thomas. He had 12 tackles for the Seahawks. Bobby Wagner had 10 tackles. And for the Rams, their leading tackler was James Laurinaitis. He had 9 tackles in this game. The Rams combined for 3 sacks. The rookie Aaron Donald had a sack. Joyner also had a sack, and so did Barron. And the Seahawks had 4 sacks in this game, as Schofield, Irvin, Williams each had 1 sack, and then Averill and Hill combined for a half a sack each. And the Seahawks had 2 picks in this game, as Bruce Irvin and Jordan Hill both had picks, and Robertson had a pick for St. Louis. So the Rams went into halftime with the lead, but that was the only points they would score would be those 2 field goals in the first half, 1 in the first quarter, 1 in the second quarter, as the Seahawks scored 20 unanswered points in the second half. They tied it up in the third with 2 field goals and then the 2 touchdowns in the fourth, as they secure the #1 seed in the NFC, as the Super Bowl through Seattle, as the defending Super Bowl champs are going to be the favorites going into the playoffs. So the Seahawks win this game. The final score, Seattle 20, St. Louis 6.